This is your Harmony Jatopi, Priest Rabbi LM Dumizulu. Join us today as we unravel the complexities as well as the unknown aspects of human history, where we are going to probe the very foundations of our ancestors. Prepare to have a very informative and a time when your preconceptions are challenged and your mind opened to new possibilities. Ever heard of a people called the Anu? Where are they today? Are they the Anunnaki? Let us learn more about these people from a number of perspectives. We first want to look at the sample of the EC02 meteorite that was found in the Sahara Desert, which is the oldest ever discovered of a protoplanet in the African desert. Then we know that by analyzing the isotopes of magnesium and aluminium in the protoplanet, its age was given to 4.6 billion years. We also know that in Africa, and also as in the Pilbara, there's a cratons. These are the hardest rocks, the oldest rocks which are known to exist in the world. Found in West Australia, Pilbara region, also in South India, Madagascar, Antarctica, South Africa and Zimbabwe. So when you speak of the creation, or when you speak of anyone who was on the earth, these are the likely places that these people or these entities should have been found to exist. It corroborates with the narratives of our divinities and the mound of the earth that came out of the waters of Nyunyu. We also know that Matsieng's footprints, which are footprints that are found on a hard rock today, which were made when the rocks were soft. Again, scientific proof is that these rocks were soft 4.6 billion years ago. Also, our sages like Ubabu Kredo Mutua tells us that the divinities were also walking upon the earth at that time. So the emergence of the earthly mound out of the waters of Nyunyu is a similar cycle that could have repeated itself so many times, and that we are living in one of those cycles today. So when we are searching for the people called the Anu, we need to look at these perspectives and also trace the possibilities of human origins from that time when the rocks were soft to the point of the nuclear plant that was discovered in Africa almost 2 billion years ago, a nuclear reactor found in Oklo in Gabon, which baffles scientists. On top of that, the giant footprints on rocks found in South Africa 2.3 billion years ago corroborates with the 3 billion year old collectop balls that were also found in South Africa. These were metallic balls that were machined by a machine made of a non-natural material which was chromium based. Then when we move forward to almost 35 years ago, we find the mathematical discoveries that were discovered in Africa, and these were the Lebombo bone found in Swaziland, same place where the kleptospheres were found, and also found in the Congo, the Ishango bone, another place where the nuclear reactor was discovered. So we are pretty sure of the foundations of these people known as the Anu. So before we go to the Anu, we need to look at the Natufian culture, which is a late epitheliothic archaeological culture that existed from about 13,000 years ago in Northeast Africa. This culture was unusual in the sense that it was a sedentary and a relaxed life before the introduction of agriculture. So there must be something that happened that then introduced agriculture. That's a topic for another video. So these Natufians, it's very clear that we can connect them to the creation of humanity. And when we look at this theory and the stories and the narratives on the creation of humanity, we find that the divinities did actually create human beings. When it comes to human soul and human consciousness, that's a totally different aspect that very few of researchers and speakers are ever dabbling in. But we have done a lot about that. We have preached a lot, spoken a lot, written a lot about the soul. That's a different ballgame. So when you go to our book, chapter 17, about the revered ancestors' home, we deal with these matters in a very holistic and comprehensive manner. So let's continue to answer the question, who are these Anu? It is very clear that we are taught here that the Anu are the first people of Hamit. In other words, that the people that civilized Hamit. One of the oldest founders of the pharaonic civilizations are the people called by this term Anu. They are rarely, if ever, mentioned. You will never find them in any text because the scholars have gone ahead to disqualify the discoveries and said that's not correct, that's not provable. But it is very clear that when we work with this word Anu, we will find the answer to the question ever heard of the people called the Anu. Around 9000 BCE, the Bongo and the Congo, Efe, the Aka, the Twa, these are the Anu people who lived in the forest of the foot of the mountain of the moon, Ruwenzori and Lake Kivu. These Anu tell us that their beginning was when Elima, the supreme being, and Tahu, the sacred tree of Tahuti, the moon god, and the Baba Tiba, the mountains of the moon, gathered them together and made them a people. It is very clear that the people of ancient Kemet themselves considered the Great Lakes region of Southeast Africa to be their sacred holy land. They called it Kuriland. These are the areas of the SADC region: South Africa, Zimbabwe, Malawi, Mozambique, Zambia, Congo, Gabon, Angola, Mozambique, Namibia. These are the areas. And Uganda and Kenya, South Sudan. Could they be the Anunnaki? That's what we are going to look into. Let's learn a little bit more about these Anu. An Egyptologist known as Abe Emile Amelino discovered these people as the original people who founded the first dynasty in Upper Kemet. And he differentiated these people and named them the Anu. And these were black Africans. These people practiced cattle breeding, agriculture, all along the Nile or Haapki River. They mastered the use of the metals of ivory and were very organized and knew how to write. They lived inside cities that were protected by stone walls. So you can look at Great Zimbabwe right up to the pyramids and you will not be far off the trek. The Anu is very clear. These are the archaeological evidence of these people called the Anu. They look similar to any melanin dominant human being you can find on the earth. So Anu is Anu, Wanu, Banu, Antu, Bantu. They named many places after them, after their name. So you got Anu, the city called Heliopolis in the Bible is called On. Anu of the north, Heliopolis, another name of another place near Heliopolis. Anu Shemo, Anu of the south, Emant and Hemontis. Anu Monti, Anu of the Hemontis, in other words, the person who lives in that city. Anu Tem, the Anu Tem of Hemopolis. Anu Atema, melanin dominant. Anu Re, the sons of Re. After Akunu, the four ancestors. Janet Anu, the Anu court of justice, judges. Temushu, Tefunat, Ausari and Jigahuti. Anu and Puto, Anu of Puta. Anu Aputa, the people of Puta. So the ancient Kemites and the people in the southern part of Africa, the Xhosas, the same people. These are the Anu or the Bantus. That has been answered. We have already clearly seen that the Anus were agricultural people. They raised cattle on large scale along rivers in any part of Africa, west, south, east of Africa, and anywhere on earth you will find them along the rivers, also including in Sumer. To these people we can attribute without any confusion that they are these people that wrote the book of Coming Forth by Day, Partema Hore, and they are the people that also built the pyramids, the people that also brought about the philosophy which we call Maati or Bantu philosophy today. They were all over the earth. If you go to the many islands that we find on the earth today, just a quick review. Inu or the Anu people of the Philippines, the Ainu people, indigenous people of Japan, the land of Anu, Ak, Luo in Ethiopia, and also we find that Europeans introduced this term Nilotic. We don't buy into Nilotic. We don't find Nilotics. We don't distinguish Nilotics from Bantus or Kushites. Anyone who does that is falling into the trap. The term Nilotic was introduced and coined by the European scholars, particularly in the fields of anthropology and archaeology and geography during the colonial period. We do not recognize it. These are all Bantus, all of them. Several DNA analysis and the remains of bodies that were found all over the earth, they have actually distinguished and found the Anus all over the earth. 10,000 years of cultivation of cook swamp in the highlands of Papua New Guinea. And from there, we have got other Anus in places like Vanuatu. This is Vantu, Vetu, Vanu, Vedu, our people. This is what this name mean. Don't to value. These are African melanin dominant names. Very, very, very clear. In Hindu mythology, Anu is also one of the Prajapatis or lords of creation and the father of the sage Brigu. This Anu. Then when you go to ancient Sumer, Anu was the sky god, and his consort was Antum. That's Atum. It's really same people. The gods of Sumer come out as humans in form and stature, and they maintained human traits. They ate, they drank, they married and fought amongst themselves, and even though the gods were immortal and all powerful, it was apparent that under certain circumstances they could still be hurt and even be killed. That's a major distinction that you must think of when you hear people talking about the gods or the Sumerian tablets. That you must put in your head and remember that the Sumerian gods were humans. Remember our teaching that a human being who follows the laws of Ma'ati to the fullest becomes a divinity, but still will have to die. So Anu was a mortal being, not immortal. So here's the proof. Anu gave birth to Alalu. It's found in the Hittite text 14 Song of Kumarabi. After 9 Nibirian years, Anu gave birth to Alalu and deposed him. After 9 Nibirian years, once in the olden days, Alalu was king in heaven. Alalu was seated on the throne. The mighty Anu, first among gods, was standing before him. He would bow to his feet, set the drinking cup in his hand. For 9 counted periods, Alalu was king in heaven. In the 9th counted period, Anu gave birth to Alalu. In the 9th counted period, as it was then the dramatic fight to earth had occurred. Alalu was defeated. He fled from Anu. Down he descended to the dark-hued earth. Anu took his seat upon the throne and became king. This is what is explained here. But original divinities never became human. For instance, he arose uttering a cry, shattering the eternal silence. This was the first sound, the first word, and the word was Jahuti. The self created the logos, the wisdom. So the self generated themselves out of the waves and the waters of Nyunyu. These are the distinctions that we must all understand when we hear the stories about the Anunnaki, about the gods and the Sumerian gods. Now, in conclusion, let's look at the word Anu. Anu is connected to Anunnaki. If Naka means beautiful, Anunnaki in melanin dominant language mean beautiful people. So of the Anunnaki, all indigenous people came back to Anu. Africa, Anu. Mexico, Anu. Ethiopia, Anu. Egyptian, Anu. Native Ama, Anu. Is it a coincidence? No. There is more to this story. If you want to dig deeper to explore the many informative spiritual life science topics, enroll today into our 14-module Band Foundation training using join@marifado.com or visit our website www.marifado.org. Yes, Sumer was an African civilization that came after Hamit, civilized by Kushites who came from Kuiland, southern part of Ethiopia today, or South Sudan. These were the Anu, the Bantus. We are still here today. We are the descendants of all these people. We are connected with all these people. We are the Bantus. We are the Anu ourselves. All we need to do is to live as the Anu culture, which is found in the book of Coming Forth by Day, Ubuntu Maati. That is our culture. Till we meet again, Katenda, Siabonga, thank you, Edupe. Let's walk the walk of our ancestors who were explorers, who were inventors, who were spiritual, who knew everything to do about the gods. For more information, email us on join@marifado.com. Till we meet again, your manager to be Priest Rabbi LM Tumizulu Kunikeni Mchakanja says Siabonga Tatenda. Have a great day, people and ancestors and descendants, children, descendants of Anu, Bantu. Ameni.